All right, I'm here with Andy Wood. I'm at the Church Planting Canada Congress. Andy Wood is part of a vineyard church that also has an intentional community. They meet in the north end of Winnipeg. The north end of Winnipeg is sort of a localized area of poverty and some social difficulties. And Andy has been part of a group that started this thing called the Flatlanders Inn. So, Andy, why don't you tell us a little bit about Flatlanders Inn and what it is,
Yeah.
what it does.
Flatlanders Inn is an intentional community that lives in our building on the second and third floors of our building that is especially welcoming to people at risk of homelessness. And so it's like a family, a large family, but a family nonetheless, that is welcoming, like intentionally welcoming and living lives of hospitality to people that need a little extra support in their lives. So that's one side of it, but the other side of it also is that there's a recognition in the people that are living there, and I think just generally in society, and probably in some of your viewers, that that there's something broken with how we live our lives in our culture, consumeristic culture, and that we're too individualistic and consumeristic.
Okay.
Both of those things. So this is a way of kind of subverting that and of living differently. And so it's not for everybody, but certainly for the people that are there, it's both of those things: welcoming to people that need extra support and care, people who are at risk of homelessness for all kinds of different reasons, but also to begin creating a new expression of church and of what the kingdom of God could look like.
Okay.
In trying to figure out, for the people that are more in the center of society and of power and of resource, what it looks like to live lives of generosity.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's Flatlanders Inn.
So you've been at this for a while.
Over 5 years, I think it's.
And is it making a difference? Have you solved the poverty
It's
issues?
all done. You missed the news flash. The North End is now free of poverty.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. All because of you guys.
Of course, and it's all because of us. Just kidding. I'm glad this isn't being edited, so we can't mix this up. But is it making a difference? Yes. In the few people that we've had, and so we have like probably, I'm just guessing, I don't know numbers exactly, but I think probably about 15 to 20 people that have lived and then moved on. And so some of those people move out, they have a good experience, and they go right back into their lives and the old ways of thinking and doing and behaviors that contribute to their poverty. A lot of people, it's exact opposite. They move out. The support, the community that happens and that's developed there goes with them. So whether or not they're living in Flatlanders, they're still part of Flatlanders.
Okay.
So yeah. So I think that's a really important part of it, is that when we look at the needs, and when we started realizing, and it's part of a church, Winnipeg Center Vineyard, and which started about over 15 years ago. And right from the beginning, we were in our neighborhood. We were noticing housing is an issue. So just that level, housing, people need housing.
Yep.
Good, safe housing. But more than that, people need community.
Okay.
They need to find a place of belonging and of care and of support, community. And so how do you hold those two things together? So that's where it started, of trying to figure out can we do both of those things together?
Right.
You know? And so that's what we've done.
So there's a lot of 20-somethings that I meet that are into this idea. They read the Shane Claiborne books. They're interested in exploring intentional community. You guys have been at it for a good long time. Do you got any advice for people who want to start that kind of thing? Any things you guys are doing differently?
Couple pieces would be, one, to visit other communities that have done it. That's when we started, we did that. We were in contact with a number of other places. There's just lived wisdom, and I mean, like it's still very young, like our Flatlanders Inn. There's communities, and I'm not just talking about other you know, communities that are popping up like Shane Claiborne's or whatever, but you know, old monastic communities of old for the last 1,500 years, so it can have a lot to teach us and a lot to speak into. So visiting, doing it together with others, not being by yourself and just kind of going for it. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but if you're doing a full-on live-in situation, you got to have people to do it together with. And being connected to a church is a really valuable thing too.
All right.
Very valuable. That's I think for us, we're totally a part of our church. We in the same building, and a lot of the same people. Not everybody that comes to Flatlanders is part of the church, but being connected to it and part of it in terms of the leadership of it and the core, vision, values, how we do things. It's really critical. It's saved us, I think, from a lot of headache.
Now you also you have multi-generations living there. How's that affect the sustainability of this?
It's very good. Yeah, we have parents with teens. We have new young families. Married, like we've had single people before, and then they get married. And so we have married people living there now. So so it's not a total broad range. I mean, we've had some retired people live there in the past too, but not now. That's really important because every stage of life has something to offer. Even though our society says it doesn't, that's not necessarily true, but it actually is true. We have to find ways of living that out and of learning from each other and from all the different stages of life. That's helpful.
There are a lot of churches where this sort of idea is well outside their categories. And I know that you guys didn't necessarily, this wasn't the day one project. How did you guys even start down this road? What would you recommend to churches that are looking to even just dip their toe in?
Well, I think getting to know your community, your neighborhood, and finding those that are different from you necessarily. So our church is, I mean, it's a fairly diverse church, so we don't have a lot of problem with finding people that are different than you, but there's still barriers, social barriers and cultural barriers that come up. And so so looking for places and people that are outside of those, and trying to create learning opportunities where meaningful engagement can happen. So like learning another language, for example. Like I want to learn your language. Can you teach me your language? Can I, as someone who in our society has generally been in more of the centers of power and privilege, can I go to the margins, to the poor, and learn from them and kind of subvert that?
So the posture of a learner is important.
Learning community. So don't create programs. Programs are good, but if the relationship isn't there, then the programs will only go so far. It's got to be community. And that's the thing with us Westerners is we see needs, and then we like to fill needs with programs and stuff, But that's not necessarily going to really change the things. People need stuff for sure, not a question, but they need community more.
Well, thanks a lot, Andy, for talking about what you're doing, and keep us updated on how things are progressing.
For sure.
All right, thank you.